Hi guys, welcome back to my channel Confessions of a Gaming Mum. So this video I think has been long awaited by a number of you who have been kind enough to take part in the survey that I created regarding Tomb Raider and Lara Croft and what you would like to see next with the franchise. So yeah, this video is going to be the results of that survey that actually carried on for a number of weeks. I probably could have promoted it a bit more to get a few more people involved, but yeah, we got quite a few. On average, we had about 440 people answer the survey, so that is really good. I would have preferred to get nearer to 1,000, but again, 440 people taking part in a survey that I created I think is fantastic, so thank you so much if you did take part. If you didn't take part, unfortunately the survey is closed now, so you can't take part in it anymore. I mean, if there's more demand later down the line, I don't know, I might try it again, but obviously I'd do it differently next time. I'll go into that in a sec. But yeah, I'm quite pleased with how it went. Some of the results are a bit shocking, I guess. I don't think I really knew what to expect so much with certain things, but yeah, I guess there was answers there that I thought would be different, so to speak. So so we'll see what you guys think. So yeah, me and my husband have collated all the data together, and we've come up with nice, more simple pie charts so people can see what happened where and stuff like that. So what I actually did was I shared, if for people that aren't aware of like the survey or whatever, so I shared it on Twitter. I tried to do a survey on Twitter, which was quite restrictive in terms of what I could actually do and how long I could do it for. I also did a survey on SurveyMonkey, which I would highly suggest that you don't use if you want to be able to do a decent survey and do it for free, because they are just super restrictive on what you can do. So in the end, the best survey that I put together was actually on Google Forms, and it's actually quite good because it creates the pie charts and graphs and stuff for you when you look, like you've got the questions, and then when you want to look at the data, it actually does it all for you. So I'd highly recommend, if you did want to do a survey, that you use Google Forms if you're going to do it. So yeah, so I shared obviously on Twitter, I shared on Facebook. I also decided to share on Tomb Raider forums, which is probably a big mistake, even though I did it in the thought process that I would get more Tomb Raider fans involved, because I felt when I was looking at the Twitter results, it was more classic based, so I was a bit weary that that Twitter was a bit more biased towards the classics. So I thought, if I go onto TRF, I know there's a big mixture of people that like all of the games and all sides of it. So I thought if I shared it with TRF, one, I would get more people involved, and two, it would be a bit more fair in terms of who would be answering. But did I regret that? Because I got quite a lot of criticism for my survey, and also for my videos, which are quite long and boring, apparently. So yeah, that's good to know, isn't it? Yeah, apparently this survey was aimed at classic fans, even though, like I said, I wanted to just get a general overview of the fandom, not aiming at classic fans in general. But obviously the way I worded things wasn't to some reboot fans' liking. So there you go, hey ho. I didn't give enough options, apparently. I didn't give the opportunity for people to go into more detail. But then the thing is, with this with the survey, it is literally cut and dry. It's like, you either want this or you don't. I'm sorry if there's not more options and you can't write a massive essay about why you think Lara needs to have a ponytail instead of a braid. It's literally, do you want this or not? So the data is easier to read and for people to look back on. If you start going into detail, people aren't gonna be interested. They're gonna read like the first few, and then because everyone's opinion's so different, it's really hard to measure it. That's what I've got from surveys, but then I've not done a lot of surveys in my life. I probably won't again after this experience, but we'll see. But yeah, anyway, I'm not going to be too negative about it. I got the results that I got, and I'm quite happy with the turnout. Like I said, I would have liked to have had more, but we'll see in future if I can, maybe if I do it, I can do it better now I've learned from experience. Or if someone else wants to do a survey, then they're more than welcome. I'm more than happy to share it with others and try and get as many people involved as possible, because I do think it is a really interesting subject, because you get so many people just shouting like at the top of the lungs that it should be more classic, and then you get other people saying they should stick to the reboot, and then you get other people saying it should be something new. And it's just nice to see where people's interest, where the general consensus is, where people's opinions actually lie in majority of the time. So the video today, I'm going to split it into two. So today's video is just going to be on the Tomb Raider questions, and then I'm going to do a video next week on the Lara Croft questions. Like I said, because apparently my videos are long and boring, I should cut them down more, so I'm trying to keep them as short as possible and try not to ramble as much. Hopefully we'll see how it goes. So let's start with the results, shall we? I'm going to put the pie charts on the screen so you can actually see the results yourself as well. I'm not just going to spurt them out, because where's the fun in that? So let's go. So the first question was, what style of game would you like to see next in the Tomb Raider franchise? The options for this were to go back to the classic style, to continue with the reboot, or to try something new. What I'll do is as well, because with the results, like with Twitter and with SurveyMonkey, I think it was, people could skip questions. So there's different numbers in terms of how many people answered which question. So I'll give you the amount of people that answered, and then you can see the results of what those people actually said. So so with this one, we had 444 people answer this question, and it's quite a big difference with this one in terms of 61%. That's 272 people said classics. They wanted to go back to the classic era. Make of that what you will. I did say earlier about the whole thing that Twitter tends to be quite classic centrified, or majority classic. But yeah, I did get quite a number of people as well reply on SurveyMonkey as well as on Google on this. So yeah, it does show, I think that's quite a telling thing, that people want to go back to a more classic style of gaming. Sorry, Crystal. that's just the way of it with that one. So question 2 was, what should gameplay focus on more? So there's 4 options for this one. There was, should it focus more on combat? Should it focus more on puzzles? Or should it focus more on exploration? But then I also had the one on, it should be all of them equally. And I have to say, the majority, as you'll see from the pie chart, was actually that people wanted it to be equal. I think a lot of the criticism from fans about the current Tomb Raiders is there's too much focus on combat. And I think even if, like, you look at game like reviews and stuff, a lot of them say that they're too focused on combat. So you would hope that something like this would be something that they would take into consideration for the next games. And as well, it's really telling that you look at how much people wanted combat, and it's like 2%, and this was 460 people answered this one as well. So this is one of the bigger ones that people wanted to get their point across. 460 people, and out of 460 people, 2% said they should focus on combat more. That says a lot, really. And now everyone out, the majority, like I said, nearly half, want it to be an equal thing of exploration, puzzles and combat. Now this was a quite detailed one. Number 3, who would you want to compose the soundtrack? So with this one, I did ask people, I gave people the option to give names of different people. If the names of the composers that you went in the list, then you had the option to give a different composer. So the options I gave originally were Nathan McCree, Peter Connolly, Trolls Bryn Folman. I can't remember how to say his name, but he did the I think he did the Legend, Anniversary and Underworld soundtrack. And then you have Jason Graves, who did Reboot, but on Twitter that was like all I could fit on this, and then I just put other. And we had so many people, like, yeah, just give different results. I mean, we've got Hans Zimmer on there, one of them. Jeremy Saul, I think is how you say his name, who did the Skyrim soundtrack. There's lots of different people. Dean Coppery is on there as well. Yeah, so there's quite a few people. Again, it's 440 people did this. And I can say that I thought this was absolutely, like, just fascinating. The top 2, and they got the exact same results, the exact same numbers. was Nathan McCree and Peter Connolly, and again you'll see from the pie chart, and no one else really comes close. It was those two, and they got the exact same number. Adding up Twitter, SurveyMonkey and Google, adding them all together, those are the two that came back. So I found that really fascinating. The fact, again, it just shows, I think, that people want to go back to more of that classic sort of style of soundtrack. So and also I think what helps is the fact that we've had obviously the Tomb Raider suite and also Tomb Raider Dark Angel, so it's fresh in people's minds, so people were quite positive about it and quite sort of hyped up and enthusiastic about it. So and rightly so, because obviously the music's amazing. So yeah, wouldn't it be nice if Crystal actually saw these? They could be like, oh, maybe we should get in touch. That'd be nice. But yeah, you can see the other names that are on there as well, like I said, on the pie chart, because again, people were just, there was the option to say we'd like to have someone new, but they didn't actually give a name. They were just like, don't care, not applicable, whatever. So obviously we didn't want to discount anyone's opinions, but it was just difficult to really put them all in if it's literally just a don't care, not bothered sort of thing. So yeah, we just grouped them together. But again, there weren't that many. What was there? 17 said that they just wanted someone new. So again, this is quite an obvious one. Question 4: do you think atmosphere is important in Tomb Raider game? And 442 people answered this one, and I can tell you that 99% said yes, atmosphere is important in a Tomb Raider game. Whether you think that they delivered atmosphere properly in the reboot is again by personal opinion. I don't think they did. I mean, Shadow I think was the closest to it, and some of the teams that you went in, and again I think that had to do with the music, because I really like the music in Shadow. But yeah, in terms of the reboot, I didn't think there was really an atmosphere. Like, you didn't walk into the room and be like, wow, this is really creepy, or the hair didn't stand up on the back of your neck and things like that. But again, that's up to personal opinion. But yeah, that's a really good, I think that's a really good one to show that that's what the fans want from the franchise. Again, another obvious one. Do you want to see more teams in Tomb Raider? 450 people replied to this one, and you can probably guess that quite a lot of people said yes. Nearly 97% actually said yes. 3% said no. So I don't know if they're just trolling or actually, I think I got a few comments. I think this is one of the ones that people said they would like to have gone into a bit more detail, I think, with this, in terms of they were happy with the amount of tombs that was in the reboot, but they didn't want them to be optional, or they just wanted particular things more than what Crystal, like something different to what Crystal was doing, but the amount of tombs was fine. Okay, question 6. Would you like Lara to go to a single location in the game or multiple locations? And this one, cause I'm a bit 50-50 on this. I think I said in my video when I said about what I'd like to see with Tomb Raider, and like one of my favourite games is The Last Revelation, which is just purely in Egypt, so I'm not that fussed about single location if it's done right. But I know a lot of people like having multiple locations. They see Lara as a globetrotter, therefore she should be going all around the world in one game. She shouldn't just be staying to one particular place, like what she kind of did with the reboot. So yeah, so this was an interesting one, because there's 447 people answered this question, and nearly 93% said they wanted her to go to multiple locations. So again, I think it is all down to taste, but it's just interesting for me that there's a vast majority of people would like to see multiple locations, when to me, like I said, Last Revelation is one of my favourite games, which is a single location. And this is a big one. I'd be interested to see if people were surprised by this one or not. So question number 7. Who would you like to develop future Tomb Raider games? And I can tell you 537 people voted on this one. I think this is one of the biggest results that we had in terms of how many people actually replied. Again, this is one where I gave a few options. I think I gave Crystal Dynamics, Eidos Montreal, and then that was it. And then I just said other, and then I asked people for their opinions on who they would like to see develop it. And yeah, I think people would be quite surprised with who was chosen, in terms of, it's quite close actually. So you've got 37% say Crystal, and 40% said Eidos Montreal. So yeah, take of that what you will. But there's also 13% that said anyone except Crystal. So when you look at the results, I mean, yeah, you've got the two big ones. So you've got Eidos Montreal and Crystal Dynamics are kind of head to head. But if you look at it in terms of it not being Crystal, that's what, like I said, they've got 40%, so that's 60%. Well, actually, it's 37%. So that's 67%. Oh no, 64%, 63% that are saying they don't want Crystal to do the next Tomb Raiders. Again, it's whether you agree with that or not. It's up to you. But yeah, I think that speaks volumes. But again, it's all up to personal opinion. And as you can see, we got quite a few answers in terms of different. We got quite a few replies in terms of different developers that people would like to see. The most popular out of that wasn't Crystal or Eidos Montreal was actually Naughty Dog, which I'm quite pleased about because I love Naughty Dog. But yeah, we had a number of people. Nika Bass was on there, yay. Rocksteady, BioWare we had on there. Again, Core Design and Capcom. Got quite a few. I think Capcom is kind of riding on the wave of success with Resident Evil 3. Ubisoft was up there again, but still not really near Naughty Dog. So yeah, Naughty Dog was the winner in terms of a someone that hasn't worked on a Tomb Raider game before. So yeah, interesting, I think, that one. So question 8. Would you like to see end of game bosses return? I think I didn't know what to expect with this one. I think again it's more like a classic style thing, but obviously if technically you had a end of game boss in the reboots, but not so much, they weren't like fantastical big sort of monsters that you were fighting, so to speak. So so it is quite different. 438 people replied to this one, and 86%, nearly 86% of people said they would like to see end of game bosses return. I'm not surprised that 14% said no, because I know it is quite one of those you either love them or you hate them sort of thing. So if anything, I was actually thinking there'll be a larger amount of people that didn't want it. So yeah, that one was quite a surprising one for me. Okay, so question 9 is, would you want the games in general to be either more fantastical or more realistic? And I had a few people ask me in terms of what I meant by this. And basically, more fantastical to me, the classics are more fantastical in terms of Lara's not realistic in terms of the way she jumps, how she climbs, and different things like that. Like, no person would have that sort of strength and that sort of agility and stuff like that. So you have that side of it, but you also have the side in terms of monsters and the myths and the legends, and rather than things being able to be explained by science and reality and stuff like that. So when I say more fantastical, I mean in terms of classic style with monsters, with Lara being that bit more exaggerated with her moves and her style and stuff like that. And obviously more realistic in terms of, because it just feels like with the reboot they are trying to be as realistic as possible. I think more in Shadow it was quite fantastical, with obviously the eclipse and everything, and the end of the world coming and stuff. So obviously that could happen, but it's still a bit more fantastical in terms of all the gods and the myths and the legends and stuff. But it's still, in terms of when you look at everything, it still has that realism behind it in terms of, as well, with Lara's moves, in terms of she doesn't have the strength, she can't jump as far as classic Lara could and things like that. So that's what I was aiming for with this. That's a long-winded way of putting it, but basically, yeah. So 402 people replied to this one, and I can say that 80% would like to see more fantastical style of Tomb Raider games again, rather than them aiming for more realistic. So like I said, that's 20% people wanting more realistic. And again, I think this is the divide with classic versus reboot, in terms of the reboot fans want to see a more realistic style of game, while the classic fans want to go back to it being more fantastic and having more myths and legends and monsters and stuff back in the games. Right, so the last question I'm gonna end on is this one. This one kind of got overlooked, and I feel a bit silly about it, because I put it went on Twitter and it went on the SurveyMonkey survey, but I didn't put it on the Google one. So I've got a lot less people answering it, but again, I think it still shows what people are more wanting from the games. So basically it was, do you prefer a more simple story in the Tomb Raider games, where it's just about Lara going out and finding the treasure? Or did you want it to be more about Lara's personal journey and what she's going through at the time and things like that? So yeah, I mean, this one, again, I was quite surprised with this one, I think, because I was thinking a lot more people would vote for Find the Treasure, and it was 64.5% out of 262 people actually said Find the Treasure. So that's 35.5% said that they would like to see Lara's personal journey. Like I said, for me personally, I don't really care about Lara's personal journey. I just want it to be about the adventure at hand. But obviously, like I said, this is all personal opinions from all the individual fans. So it's really interesting to see that that's what people actually think. I thought it would be more sort of like 20-80 in terms of for Find the Treasure, that majority of people would prefer Find the Treasure. I mean, they do, but not as many as I thought. So yeah, so that's all the questions for Tomb Raider. Like I said, I'll be doing the Lara ones next week. So yeah, tell me down below what you actually think. Do you agree with the results? Are you surprised? Is there any that you completely disagree with? Did you take part in the survey? Let me know like what your answers were and stuff like that, because like I said, to me it's just really interesting to know, even if that's the thing that annoys me with the fandom. It's just that if so many people, and I hate to assume, but I have to say it tends to be a lot of reboot fans in my experience, that if people don't agree with them on their like favourite parts of the franchise, then you're wrong and you're not worth speaking to, and you're just going to be called names and stuff. Because there's been a lot of that going around recently, and I just think it's immature and it's stupid, and you're not going to be taken seriously by the fans, other gamers, developers. They're not going to take you seriously when you act like a petulant child because someone else doesn't agree with your taste in games. So, you know, but yeah, like I said, I just wanted to do this as a way to find out where the fandom lies. Like I said, I've seen some that are slightly surprising, some that I don't necessarily agree with, but that's fine because everyone else has the right to their opinion. It's not like my opinion isn't fact. My opinion is my opinion. So there you go. It's like it's there in black and white, well, red, yellow and blue and stuff because of the pie charts. But I'd love to know what you all think. If you are gonna comment below, please keep respectful, don't argue with anyone, because like I said, we all have our own opinions and no one opinion is the same. So yeah, keep it nice. And yeah, I look forward to the next one, Lara's one. That should be fun. But yeah, I shall end it there, I think, before my video gets too long and boring. So anyway, just if you like the video, then give it a like. If you haven't subscribed yet, then please subscribe. Share it as well with all the Tomb Raider fans that you know. See if you can kick up a discussion, not an argument. And yeah, follow me on social media. I'm trying to get a lot more active now my son's getting that little bit older. So it means I can have more time to myself, so to speak. So I'm trying to do like live streams and more things like Facebook Live and different stuff like that. So yeah, so follow me on social media. You can donate to me on Patreon, which would be nice. Every little helps and stuff like that. Anyway, love you guys, and I shall see you in the next video. Bye!